Who's got the pills? Who's got the sand to take the over? The Browns over-under is out. Who's got it? Who's going to do it? Do you want to do some sort of a bet? Something like that?
No, well, you and Zach
Depending
Jackson.
on who. We used to have a whiskey bet. We haven't had it in years, though.
You had a whiskey bet where no matter what the Browns did in the draft, no matter what the Browns did in free agency, no matter what trades they made, no matter who was the coach, no matter who the GM is, maybe who the owner was, I don't know. No matter what the win total would be, Zach would take the under, Ken would take the over.
It was always 7. No matter what, it was always 7.
Oh, it didn't even matter what the number was?
It was always 7, and that was Zach's joke on me. That's part of the reason he's so nice to me, because even at my old place, like, he would come on the show, and I just think I think I'm like his naive little brother. I think that's how Zach feels about me, because Zach can be so nasty, and I can be so Farley-esque, and somehow he has a soft spot for me. And I think about him all the time about that. And then the reason why it stopped is because I finally realized after many years the joke was always on me. Because he would go, Kenny, like, I think I finally realized, do you understand how pathetic it is that you're making a bet with me every year that a team is finally able to get over 7 wins? Like, he would always make the joke, you're setting a high bar around here. And I'm like, I never got it. And then one day, later than I should have, I finally got it. I go, oh, man, this joke's on me the whole time. Even if I do win the whiskey, the joke's on me. Well, that's how sad it was.
Every year we get tweets, and people will show their betting slips of the Browns going to the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Because that's a fun bet to make. I mean, why would you want to bet against the Browns? Like, that's not fun.
Nope.
So you bet them to go to the Super Bowl, and one year, they're eventually going to go to the Super Bowl, right? Like, in our lifetime, there's going to be a time.
Yeah.
It's set up that way for every team, and sometimes it's set up for teams to go multiple times and maybe even win the Super Bowl. So eventually it's going to happen, and eventually you will get to proudly display the bet. See, I had faith in him before anybody else. But the win total bet is very different, and I'm curious if there are fans out there who just take the over no matter what every year. They take the over because they want to be optimistic no matter what the number is, and they do it. And there have been low numbers. Last year was 4.5.
Terribly low numbers. This year, it's at 6.5. All right, so we are going to find out if anybody on this show has the pills to take the over on this season with the Browns at 6.5. Obviously, speaking of the Browns, here we go. This is a fantastic transition, because if you say yes to this, I think I'm going to walk out of here, and you'll host the rest of the show by yourself, because I have realized something here. I rarely listen to myself. Rarely. People think, you love your... No, I don't. I rarely go back and listen to myself, and I've heard myself in clips, and I have sounded more exasperated with you over the last couple of weeks than I have in quite a while. And I accuse you now of desperation. So, because you've brought up just about every other guy, and I'm going, I am in no hurry. I want to win. I'm in no hurry to win, because it's not my job to fix a mess that Andrew Berry created. I'm ready for the right way. I'm ready to be patient to do it the right way, because I'm tired of trying to hurry and making the situation even worse. So if you say yes to this name because another name got brought out because it's the Browns, which, by the way, shows you, no matter what I want to say about Shedeur Sanders, it shows you what the rest of the NFL feels about the guy. And I'm talking about not just teams and whatever. I'm talking writers, too. Anthony Richardson was bandied about yesterday. Bleacher Report, ESPN, the whole deal. If you say yes to Anthony Richardson, I give up. I may give up, and you may just do the rest of the hour alone or by yourself. You may do the rest of the show by yourself. Because Kyler Murray, I'm sure you can make some sort of an argument to go, Ken, come on. Even the same thing maybe with Tua. No, I'm not wasting my time with Anthony Richardson. If you say yes, I'm going to be crestfallen.
Well, so let's go through the case. The case is he was the 4th overall pick, 2 years ago?
Great.
And when you look at his body, when you look at his athleticism, when you look at his arm, all the things I say about Malik Willis, right? This guy even more so than Malik Willis because he was taken 4th overall. I mean, we are talking about a guy taken, that high in the draft.
Yeah.
And so you can see why people would be salivating over, we'll fix him, right? Like you could see that guy and when he is, the highlight reel. Like we had our new producer, John, came in and said, I mean, you've seen the highlight, right? We all are talking about the same highlight. Him throwing that cannonball 70 yards. And I'm like, yeah, I saw it. I'm like, it just goes to show every quarterback has a highlight. Every quarterback has a insane throw that you want to put on tape. Even Gardner Minshew has an insane highlight reel. They all do now. They all can make all the throws. It's amazing. Maybe except Dylan Gabriel. I have not seen him make all the throws.
He's afraid to.
So Anthony Richardson, despite everything I just said, I'm not as into him as I am Malik Willis. I am not.
You're saying no?
I am.
But, thank God.
But what's funny is...
Thank God.
What's funny is I could see people being more excited about Anthony Richardson than all the names that we've been mentioning. Because of that. Just because...
It's not a punt, passing kick, guys. When have you ever seen him play really well for an entire game? Even Shador. We have sat here and had near fistfights about Shador. Even all the people who hate Shador, you've seen him play well in an NFL game. You have seen him play well in an NFL game. I've never really seen it with Anthony Richardson.
Even though he went 6-5
and people
as a starter.
Okay.
So the Shador people that talk about his wins
and
over
I brought
Pittsburgh.
Up 3 and 4.
And where Shador did not play well in those last 2 games of the year.
Well,
but I submit to you 6-5.
I mean, at some point, I think we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and go, boy, we really need to get some help here because we're sitting here arguing over breadcrumbs and bread heels in the bottom of a dumpster for some of these other quarterbacks here. I don't care how big Anthony Richardson is. I don't care how strong his arm is.
But that's why he was drafted.
Had a strong arm.
That's why he was drafted 4th overall.
And the people who drafted him were silly to draft him at that level. They were absolutely silly and desperate their own way to draft him number 4 overall. It is nonsensical. I brought up no when I saw his name brought up, which I knew his name was going to get brought up. It's just, again, it's a wheel, and we figure out which spot the wheel stops on, and we pick that quarterback, and we'll talk about that quarterback. I'm willing to have a conversation about a guy who has been a dynamic player in his past. Regrettably, even if I don't really care for him, and that's Kyler Murray, right? Fine, we'll have a knockdown drag out over Kyler Murray. And even C.J. Stroud, who's played. This guy's never played at a high level in the NFL. I don't give a damn where he was drafted. That was just somebody else's mistake. Tim Tebow was drafted in the top 20. That was somebody else's mistake. I don't need to waste any more time. So the
question is, and I said I would be open-minded about all quarterbacks. The question is, when we yesterday spent all this time talking about the reclamation projects and the guys that have been able to get turned around, he's got all the attributes. I mean, the guy runs 4.4 40. Yeah. His arm is insane. He has a 40-inch vertical. I don't know what that helps you in the NFL, but he's got all those attributes. Why can't he be the next reclamation project? Why couldn't the Browns be early? I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know you are.
Why couldn't the Browns and Todd Monken, who is referenced dual threat athleticism at that position, why couldn't the Browns be early? Because you can't be late on reclamation projects.
I've never seen him.
This is the point I made yesterday. Being late on reclamation projects means you don't get the reclamation project. You don't get Sam Darnold.
No.
You don't get to be late. You have to be early. Why can't the Browns be the team if this is a season where we all agree we're not expecting them to win? We're not expecting them to go to the Super Bowl or even really make the playoffs. Why can't the Browns be the team that is early on Anthony Richardson?
Because I'll tell you why. Because I saw this guy with a better offensive line. I saw this guy with a better wide receiver crew. I mean, good God, he had Michael Pittman Jr. for crying out loud. You got Jonathan Taylor. You have a better running back room, and he wasn't able to do anything with it. He played scared. He wasn't able to process. He pulled himself out of a football game. No, I'm not interested.
So are you saying
I got
Ken
nothing
Carman,
against the guy, even though I just gave you a bunch of things against the guy? No.
I got to always put you through the ringer on this.
It's fine.
So
go ahead.
If Ken Carman were the GM of 32 NFL teams, Anthony Richardson's out of the league?
Well, if I was a GM of 32 NFL teams.
So which team can do this? Which team can take a chance on Anthony Richardson? Because
a team that does not have an open competition. We have an open competition. Whether I want to agree with it or not, the competition is open. Right now, it's a Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders competition, no matter what way you want to put it.
So give me an NFL team that should take a chance on it, because they're clearly looking.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay,
the
so just
Philadelphia Eagles.
So he's still a project that has to.
Without a doubt. I'm not saying he has no place in the league. He has no place with a team that has an open competition.
That's why the way you were talking.
Where somebody could fool themselves into starting him way too soon again and believing in all these other. He's a physical freak. I don't take anything away from him. I don't even think he's a bad guy. But some of the things that I just said are terminal problems in the NFL as a quarterback. And I'm not interested in wasting any more time with any other terminal problems. I got two other guys that are arguing over terminal problems right now, or are going to compete with terminal problems here. I don't need to add any more. I just don't want my time wasted. So I'd rather just go with Shedeur and Deshaun Watson than I would with, and here I am exasperated again. I'm sorry, let me pull back. I'd much rather go with Shedeur and Deshaun Watson than Anthony Richardson and a host of others. There's a very, very, very small group, and I'm not afraid of every quarterback, because you brought me to the other side about Malik Willis. I'm open to Malik Willis. Let's talk turkey. Let's talk, because I've seen him play at an exceedingly high level against a team that was trying to make the playoffs. I've seen him play well. Okay, and it only costs money. So I'm willing to bring in Malik Willis if you want to. You guys want to talk about Mac Jones? Might be a little bit more worried about him than Malik Willis, but go right ahead. When it comes to Anthony Richardson, absolutely freaking not. No, don't care. Guys, I get that Anthony Richardson, he's built like a Greek god. He does have a very strong arm. I'm being very flippant to people. Social media reactions brought to you by
Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Nate, who's a good listener. I've met him in person before. He goes, Ken, he's so big. He's so strong. Quote, Anthony Richardson, probably the second most athletic QB in the NFL, also has a big arm. And I couldn't help myself. I had to reply. I go, yeah, well, the Summer Olympics are in 2 years. Maybe he has a shot at javelin. He don't have a shot with my football team. It's just another waste of time.
Well, think about it. Justin Fields was a freak athlete. Like, when you watch him in the open field running around, you're always like, oh, if he could just pick up the processing, if he could just figure out how to deal with NFL defenses and be able to stand in the pocket and make throws. And you just can't.
Yeah.
Like Justin Fields, we have a track record that is long enough.
You and I were pro Justin Fields.
Yeah, and it's just, you don't see me advocating to go get Justin Fields.
No.
The interesting thing about Anthony Richardson is he is so young.
Jets would give him to you.
You could chalk up his failures to a different team. Like, hey, we can fix him. Like, Todd Monken could fix him.
But
like, that's the Todd Monken thing when you get an offensive coach. You know, you would be saying Liam Cohen or Kyle Shanahan, different types of coaches. Like, could McVay, could he fix him? So that is the one thing I think with a new head coach, you could at least try to talk yourself into.
My difference is, and you asked me, like, what's the difference? What's really the difference? And I put the Browns and the Colts side by side. And I go, they got a better wide receiver. Their offensive line is not that great, but it's better than ours. Tight end situation, comparable. I mean, you had Tyler Warren this last year. I know, Daniel Jones was a starter, but there was a competition at the beginning of that, or at least a pseudo competition. But Daniel Jones is the litmus test there. The Colts were a disappointment at the end of the year. Daniel Jones got hurt. They weren't able to make the playoffs. They took on water. Colts fans are upset. But they're still seen as a disappointment, not as a complete out-and-out disaster. The Jets were a disaster. So Sam Darnold not doing well with the Jets. You used him as an example. Sam Darnold not doing well with the Jets. You could put that on the Jets. Guys who don't do well with the Browns, I hate to say it, you could put that on the Browns. Anthony Richardson was picked number 4 overall to a Colts team that seems to be ready to compete for something, and he couldn't hold on to that job. They had to bring in Daniel Jones. No, he's not.
Now, is that because he tapped out of a game? Is that also?
No, it's not just that. It's just, again, he doesn't check through any progressions. He has no sense of pocket presence to me. The checking out of the game, that's third. I know that's a huge no-no, and a lot of people ripped him for it. Fine. That's, if you're supposed to be a big athletic quarterback, sorry, you got to go back out there. That's up to that play caller. Call a handoff in the next play. You got to suck it up and get going. Fine. He is, for such a big player, he is often injured. He is injury prone. You have to throw that in there as well. There's just all those reasons that I would say absolutely not. For Sam Darnold, and again, God forbid, with the Browns, you could sit there and go, yeah, it's the Browns. Like we do with coaches. Yeah, it's the Browns. Yeah, they'll mess it up. We could still take this guy. No. You had a pretty decent situation there in Indianapolis, and you weren't able to make it work. I'm not interested. I think that we need to look ourselves in the mirror and go, guys, we are as desperate as we can be. We need to have a moment. I don't know where it is. We need to have a wake-up call. Maybe it's like with Artie Lang in the pig costume where he finally looked himself in the mirror of the car and went, what am I doing? We might be the Artie Lang in the pig costume, man. That might be us, where we need to just go, you know what? What I'm doing right now ain't working. The desperation ain't working. We need to settle down. Because I'm getting the thing. Ken, his arm. The thing that anybody can agree about with Shedeur Sanders is that he throws a nice deep ball.
Yeah, he doesn't have the arm that Richardson does, but he does have the accuracy on.
That's what I'm saying.
We've seen some evidence of even though his completion percentage was not very good last year.
Anthony Richardson can throw it goal line to goal line, but if he can't get it to a receiver, then all I'm doing is doing a carnival trick for everybody. I need a guy. I'm not saying no to everybody, because you accused me of this earlier this week, and I'm a little bit sensitive to it. I'm not afraid of every quarterback. I'm afraid of wasting time. I ain't afraid of these guys. I just don't want to waste my time. Malik Willis, we'll talk about him. This won't be the last time. But now there's stiff competition and better situations out there.
And it's interesting, though, to me that, you've accused me of being desperate for a quarterback.
You sound so damn desperate you're willing to take anybody.
My question
I've hosted a show with you for a long time, and we've been down this road many times
My question
before.
is, how could a Cleveland Browns fan not be desperate for a quarterback?
Easily. I'm a big-time Cleveland Browns fan. I ain't desperate.
How could you not be? On what planet
Let me explain the ways.
Do you think a Browns fan has the right to not be desperate?
So should I be desperate? You thinking I should be?
Yeah, how could you not be is my question. Why haven't we won?
Here comes the cross-examination again. I realized during last season, I have done a lot of self-reflection. I told you, I sounded exasperated with you this week. I said, don't talk like this because I'm exasperated with you, right? And I hate that. I hate sounding like that. And I go, I exasperated with you. And it reminded me, because I was watching some of the clips that Joey posted throughout the week, and I'm seeing some of the replies and whatever. I'm having some fun with people on social media. I go, God, I hate the way I sound there. And then I go, boy, I sounded the same way during the season. I remember I came to an epiphany during the season. I go, why am I trying to fix something that I didn't create? I didn't want Deshaun Watson. I didn't want to take on $46 million a year in salary that ended up being a mess. I didn't know it was going to end up that bad, but here we are. When I had that epiphany during the season, I go, I don't need to fix a problem that's made by Andrew Berry, which is not an endorsement of Andrew, even though I like him personally, right? I don't need to sit here and come up with ways that need to be fixed. Once you have that clarity and that freedom tone, life is so much better. I just need to get to the next quarterback or the next place where I can take people seriously. That's where I'm at. And there are serious people within the doors.
Are you taking the Browns seriously this year?
As winners?
Yeah.
No.
So why aren't you desperate? The only way to change that is to get a better quarterback.
Because I don't think that guy...
We've got the defense, right? So all we need is a quarterback.
Yeah, and I don't think that any quarterback out there is going to get us to where we need to go.
So you think
we still need so much more around
You would
him.
bet right now that all the available names that we've talked about are all going to be zilches, are not going to help. Because you probably would have said the same about Sam Darnold a few years ago. You probably would have said the same about Daniel Jones a few years ago.
I would have said the same about Daniel Jones. I don't think I would have said the same about Sam Darnold. Now, someone might be able to go look through social media and find different. But remember, I like Sam Darnold coming out.
You did.
There came a time. It's hard to make the argument now. He just won the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago. So, we're seeing it through a different prism. I would have made that argument against Daniel Jones. I ended up being wrong about that. Well, we'll see after the Achilles injury, but that's not his fault. Sam Darnold, I wouldn't have felt the same way about Sam Darnold. There are other guys that I would feel more positive about, but I think that right now I'm in a mode where I just want to see what we have here because I really don't know. I don't think it's going to get us to where we need to go this year, which is to the playoffs. I think we're still very far away from that. And if we're going to be far away from the playoffs, then I'm looking more towards 2027 in those QBs. I don't think that anybody available out there.
So you're basically saying, what's another year?
Level.
We've waited this long. What's another year?
That's what I'm saying. Because I don't need to fix the mess, and I don't need to act desperately. And that's what I'm afraid of them doing. Hearing about them being possibly involved in trades, hearing about the A.J. Brown stuff. Why? Why do I need to bring him in? So he could be mad
to help
here?
Shedeur.
Yeah, okay.
Get Shedeur his weapon.
He was mad with a good football team. He's going to be mad with a bad football team. And, yeah, that's a nice weapon. That's helpful. But, again, I'm just in a bad place with thinking that they're going to be that great. And however I say this, though, because of their strength of schedule, you can't be any worse offensively. Their over-unders at 6.5. I'm like, well, they could win 7 games.
Oh, wait, higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be right around where it was last year.
The defense is that good, and you're going to keep Myles Garrett, and you're going to keep Denzel Ward. You better keep Denzel Ward.
So they did not get docked losing Jim Schwartz.
Do you take the over?
Oh, I told you the other day, I literally said 6. I thought they'd win 6 games, so I guess I'd have to take the under.
I just have this stealing feeling that, yeah, you'll get to 7.
Well, the schedule, that's part of it. That is the one thing that draws you in.
That's part of it.
Looking at that schedule, and I know we've done that in the past, and that has been fool's gold. But looking at that schedule, you're like, a bunch of new coaches we're playing.
But you also
the division is totally in flux with the new coaches.
And now that we know what the over-under is set by Vegas at 6.5, you telling me that the people who thought that we needed to move on from Kevin, you moved on from Kevin? That you won 5 this last year. That's not going to mean 2 more wins?
Well,
you moved on from Bubba Ventrone. That's 2 wins right there against terrible football teams you should have beat.
It's so funny because when I talk to people, like, how do you feel about the coaching staff? They're like, ugh. Like, even if they didn't like the coaching staff last time around, now you got a bunch of new
Well, that's the risk
coaches.
you take by moving on from guys just because you quote-unquote have to. I didn't have to move on from anybody. I'm looking at this in a completely different way than I have. Last year, I said some things that I knew were desperate and crazy, and I wouldn't have said had I had my head on straight. And I've done this whole thing every single year trying to avoid it. There is such a strong difference between having your stuff together and not having it together, and then considering things that you never would have considered before. Because there's so many people, we look in the news and we say, I can't believe that guy did that. I can't believe you robbed that convenience store. Well, you know what? If I was dealing with some of those situations over the last how many months, maybe all of a sudden I would consider it. And that's where I think we're at with the Browns. That's where I think we're at with these quarterbacks. We're doing these things. It's like you would never do this if you weren't paying a quarterback $46 million that nobody wants to play. If you didn't have an offensive line that you almost have to completely retool. If you didn't have a wide receiver that people want to get rid of that you still owe $16 million to and that we were having hope for and ended up becoming a problem this last year. Because we have a great defense and it feels like we're just this close. If we could just have that score, we'd just be fine. It just feels so desperate. And I don't need to be there. I don't need to be there. I don't need to dig them out of the problems that they've created themselves. My goal, my reason is get yourself straight again and then move forward. You gotta find a way through this and then figure out a way forward. You gotta get back on the road first. And getting back on the road is not going after all these different QBs and making crazy trades for wide receivers who ain't gonna be happy here. I'm being as pragmatic and clear-headed as I've ever been about this team. And weirdly enough, because of the strength of schedule, because they can't help but be better on offense, because they'll still have that defense, it's like, yeah, they can win 7 games. Hell, they almost won 7 games last year. They had a tougher schedule. 216-474-0092. You're taking the under.
Yeah, I said 6 wins.
Wow. Hell of a turn we've had here.